All rights reserved with Yolanda Taylor on Choice.
Good morning, everybody. It is Saturday morning. The coffee is brewing. The sun is shining somewhere over North Carolina. It is Juneteenth weekend, baby. And I'm Yolanda Taylor, the community lawyer, the voice behind this mic, and your host on All Rights Reserved. This show is where law, life, and community, but especially culture, come together because the issues that impact our lives don't happen in separate boxes, y'all. They happen all at once. Today, we're talking about something many of us say we need, but few of us truly understand. And what am I talking about? I am talking about self-care. And no, we're not just talking about massages, spa days, pedicures, beard trims, vacations, or fancy dinners. What if self-care is actually about boundaries? What if it's about simply saying no? What if it's about protecting your peace the same way you protect your money? What if self-care is really about stewardship of your mind, your relationships, your purpose, and your future? My special guest today is author Debra Loban, who has written a powerful book called The 6 Laws of Self-Care: How to Cultivate the Mindset of Taking Care of Yourself. The book focuses on creating a meaningful self-care practice through self-worth, boundaries, and holistic wellness. And later on in the show, we're going to connect a little bit self-care to something you may not expect: civic care. Because if we don't pay attention to what's happening around us, somebody else will make decisions for us. We'll talk about a major election bill moving through the North Carolina General Assembly and what it can mean for voters. So don't go anywhere. Stay with us throughout this conversation. This is All Rights Reserved. Hey, Deborah.
Hey, hey.
Hey, so glad that you're on the show. I'm going to tell the guests a little bit about your bio. Y'all, today again, I am joined with author Debra Loban, who's also a good friend of mine as well. And she is the author of The 6 Laws of Self-Care, as stated. And I have her book here because I want to read her bio. She is a licensed psychotherapist and executive coach who brings over 2 decades of experience to the mental health and wellness field. At Duke University, she empowers individuals with effective self-care strategies. Her expertise also expands to enhancing emotional intelligence. Ooh, how many of us need some emotional intelligence, right? Managerial impact for leaders and developing impactful wellness programs for companies in the Raleigh-Durham area. So again, Deborah, I'm so excited to have you here, friend.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
Okay. Well, this book, I had to get a copy. One, to support you, but also I know you're an expert when it comes to this subject matter, and I need some self-care in my life. But what inspired you to write this book?
Yeah, I think it was really a little bit before COVID. Of course, I had my own personal wellness journey, some challenges personally that piqued my attention to it. But I think what really drove the nail in the coffin, or the point home to me, that self-care really is an issue that people need to understand better and master in their own lives, it was during COVID. And there's so many people that were struggling to figure out how to take care of themselves. But this had been going on for a while. I had been seeing it in my work with employees at Duke for some time. But I think COVID just really made it drove the point home. Yeah, absolutely.
And it magnified it for, I think, a lot of people, because we would hear stories of people being depressed, marriages breaking up, because, people were faced with the elephant in the room, right? Things that maybe they were able to avoid because they were out the house.
Exactly that. Yeah, when you take away all the different distractions, and then now I'm home with myself.
Yes.
And there's no way to escape that. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's awesome. So why do you think people misunderstand self-care?
I mean, I think it's a number of different issues. I would say society, number one. I think society puts the message out there to people that, just work hard. And when you work hard and you focus on your job and focus on whatever activities, you're going to be okay. And maybe that worked 100 years ago. I don't think it worked well then either, to be honest. But it certainly doesn't work well now because there's so much going on in our daily lives. I mean, every person has 20 things they're involved in, and that's not even including their families and their partners. So, I think society sends this message that makes it difficult. I think, sometimes the spiritual or the religious world can make it difficult too, because people, there's a message there that makes people feel like, I'm being unspiritual if I focus on myself. And so, then no need for a definition, just sort of keep moving on, right?
Yeah.
And I think individually, people struggle with giving themselves permission. Sometimes it's easier, again, to focus on other things versus focusing on yourself. So there's a lot of factors involved with why we are grappling with this
With
issue.
that issue, and then how we get it confused. Like, I mean, because I know my friends, and you're a part of one of my circles of friends. So sometimes when we talk about self-care, we think, oh, we're going to go have a spa day, or we're going to take a vacation. I mean, what are they missing?
I mean, a spa day is okay, a vacation is okay, but as I wrote in my book, self-care is a mindset, right? Like if you're just waiting for the next spa day, the next, manicure or the next trip, you are, missing out incredibly on managing your daily life. Self-care is a daily thing. Like, why would we not be taking care of ourselves every single day? Why would we not be doing things that bring ourselves joy and bring balance and wellness to our life? And so I think if you think of it as a cumulative thing, right? Like math, right? It builds on itself. The more you practice it, the more you are increasing your well-being. And then the less likely it will be that you would burn out or be really overwhelmed, and the rest.
Well, how do you define? Do you have a special definition when you define self-care to people?
Yeah,
I know it's a mindset, but like, is it yoga and you're chatting, or you're reciting? You know how people, yoga. Some people chat. Religious people don't chat because they think it's demonic.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I'm just saying, yoga. It's, because you would think that doing something like that, or breathing exercises, that's like some kind of physical, like, I guess, benefit, right?
Those are self-care activities, and I'm not against those.
Yes.
Those are necessary. It's just that even if you were to, string together a bunch of, wellness activities, you might not, accomplish well-being. You might not accomplish balance. It depends on what you're doing, right, and how frequently you're doing it. And also, I think your intention behind it, right? So a lot of people would say they do all these different things and they still don't feel balance. And that's because, like I said, self-care is a mentality that you apply to every aspect of your life and everything you're involved in.
Yes.
So when you're doing that, it's different than I just went and got my, toenails done.
Yes, because like you said, some people don't go like,
Yeah.
some people go once a quarter, some people go every 4 weeks. So you're right. So that's definitely not a daily thing. So let's talk about this mindset. So let's dive deeper in that, because I like, as a lawyer, I like the fact that her title is the 6 laws of self-care. That piqued my interest. I was like, let me see what law 1 is. And law 1 is so simple. It's called value yourself. And when I was reading that chapter, you say to self-worth or valuing yourself can't be confused with self-esteem or self-confidence.
No,
Yes.
they're different things. I think, they're all connected. So you could say they're sort of cousins, if you will. But Self-confidence is, related to an activity or a talent or something specific that you do, you feel very confident about. So you could say, I feel confident about my ability to be a great lawyer, right? But that's not necessarily impacting your self-worth. It could to some degree, but you could still feel, like my self-worth is low, even though I feel like I'm a great attorney. Does that make sense? So confidence in a specific thing. Self-esteem is sort of a more transient form of self-worth. So you can feel that in the moment, like something happened and you feel good about that and that gives you a boost. But your self-worth is this pervasive sense of how you feel if you strip away everything, just you alone, the dark. Do you feel worthy? If you don't have all the things, all the trappings, do you feel like you are a worthy human being, worthy of love, worthy of connection, worthy of and deserving of everything that life could bring you? Do you feel that way?
And I would think too that self-worth, like when you just remove the whole, like the blinders, the mask, like you say, everything that the world elevates, and you're just looking at yourself in the mirror. Sometimes can't self-worth show itself or manifest in the decisions that we make?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if low self-worth will show up like allowing people to take advantage of you, overscheduling yourself, right? Because when a person truly feels worthy, they're not going to bog themselves down in things. Saying yes to things that you really want to say no to. When your self-worth is high, you're like, no, I make the decisions that I'm gonna make for myself. And what other people feel about those things is a thing for them to manage. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there are a lot of ways that it shows up in your daily life if your self-worth is low. Like even the friend group you have, the partner that you're choosing to be with, all of that, the job that you stay in when you know that this job is over, it's done, I should not be here, I've outgrown it, or they don't value me, then why are you still there, right? Someone who feels worthy of more is going to go and get that. Either they have left it or they're making a plan to. Yeah.
That's deep. Yeah, and I'm concerned as a mother, I guess, of two daughters who are growing up about their self-value because they live in a world, where sometimes that's taken from like TikTok. Social media is defined in like what's worthy. Like right now, combating it.
Oh my God.
15-year-old daughter, like, girl, you have beautiful hair. Why do you need weave? Not saying that she can't wear it occasionally, but I mean, you have beautiful hair. You have beautiful eyelashes. What's the attraction with the eyelashes? The trends. That's what the young people call
There's
it.
a lot of things that are weighing in,
Yes.
especially for women. I don't want to say men don't feel it. I don't think that they feel it in the same way that women do. Like our worth gets hugely impacted by society and the standards that are set for us that we didn't even set ourselves. Beauty standards, what's acceptable, what makes you okay. So there's a lot of that. And I think, unfortunately, for young women, I think you have to go through some of the fire before you get to the place, right? Where you're like, I feel great about me. I'm not asking you to weigh in on that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But on the other side, what I see the younger generation combating as far as self-worth is like they coined the term, body shaming. Like, I don't know if that's a healthy embrace because sometimes I see it where no one's ever criticized. And I don't think we should criticize people because of their weight because, hey, I mean, I have struggled with my weight. I'm what my grandma called big bone, since I was born, and as you get older, of course, and you're dealing with hormones and menopause, that doesn't make it easy. What was once curvaceous, being curvy, can turn into something less curvy if you don't watch it. But what I do like is the fact that the younger generation, like they're unapologetically, free as I feel as far as like, judgment and concepts about their bodies. So, I mean, maybe that's a form of like valuing yourself beyond the exterior. What do you think?
I absolutely agree with that. As they should feel like we need to love ourselves and love our body regardless of what it looks like. It's the only body, as far as I know. I mean, maybe somebody's got some other research that says we will get another body, but it's the only one that we have. That's coming. But for now, right? Like you can't increase your worth while hating yourself, while hating how you look, while talking down to your body. There's research coming out that says the way we speak to our body, to ourselves, to our actual body, impacts its well-being, impacts its health. Yeah.
That's
We
deep.
can make ourselves sick by the way that we're thinking or talking to ourselves about, the way that we present. So,
I've heard that principle spoken in so many ways. Like there's power in the tongue. What you speak should manifest or has power.
Yeah.
Now, your book says that 85% of the world's population has self-esteem issues. 60% of people wish they had more self-respect. 85% of women do not believe they're attractive. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And 61% of adults, like what we were talking about, have body image issues. 51% of men don't think they're liked by others, and 53% of adults feel their self-esteem has decreased since the pandemic. Like you said, COVID has been an issue. The statistics don't lie, right?
They don't.
It's a view.
And these are, mind you, older statistics. It could have increased by now or decreased. All you need to do, you don't even need those stats. All you need to do is get on social media and scroll through, and you'll see how people are not feeling great about themselves. Sometimes people are honest enough to tell you, but you'll also see it in ways where people are so angry and embittered and talking badly to other people, right? So to me, when I see people shaming others or talking down, talking bad, negative, terrible comments on somebody's page, that to me is a symptom of low self-worth. Because when you love yourself, when you value yourself, you don't need to do that. You have no interest in that kind of activity. So,
That's so true. And another part, we're still on law number 1, y'all. So this book is so awesome. Like each chapter, it's just so rich because I just love the way it's written. One thing is, you say valuing yourself helps you trust your decisions.
yeah.
Can we explore that a little bit more?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and that's a thing that I've seen as a therapist, that when people don't trust, when they don't value themselves, when they don't have high self-worth, then they're not trusting their own judgment. And so they may feel like, I don't trust myself to date again because I've looked at the past decisions and I don't feel great about those. Right? And so they don't feel like they can move forward. They may be depending on other people to kind of support them and help them to make, so seeking approval from others, that would be high in their life. So this is a real thing. It's a real problem if you feel like, I don't trust myself enough to make choices for me. Like, tell me who is better equipped to make decisions for you. No one is better than the individual for themselves. And just because we make, I don't even want to call them mistakes. I've stopped using that word. If I use it, smack me here today. But I've stopped trying to use that word, make mistakes. I've started saying we make decisions, we make choices, we have an experience, and then from that experience, we say, I really liked that, or that wasn't really good for me. I won't be doing that again, right? So the idea that we're making mistakes, right, and then really does work against our overall opinion of ourselves. Yeah, and so I like to reframe anything that I do that didn't work out in the way that I planned. It's not a mistake. It was an experience. It was a situation. It was an event. It was a circumstance, and I made a choice, and I don't like that. Now I've learned something, and that's better for me.
I like that because if you frame it as a mistake, then comes condemnation, guilt,
shame,
a whole bunch of other
all of that.
Shame, all of that. So that's deep. I love that. And you're like the second guest to talk about that. The guest I had last week said that too. Like, we don't make bad mistakes. We make bad decisions, because also accountability. When we know that we made that decision, we learn from it, right?
Yes.
And then we're accountable.
Yes.
So the next time maybe we won't make that particular decision.
Yeah.
But that's deep. I love it. And I'm not going to give the whole book away, y'all. Y'all going to have to buy it. It's available on Amazon. And I'll let her talk a little more towards the end about how you can get the book and whatever she wants to say about it. But not only does she state the laws, I mean, she gives you, steps and things that you can do. Like in chapter 1, the law of valuing yourself. She talks about what steps you can take to value yourself. So there's several steps here, but I do like the one about creating your own personal value statement. Yeah, I really love that.
I like that.
Yeah. And then after every chapter of the book, there's a recap of what you learn in the chapter. And I've just been going slowly through this book because this is not really a fast read, because this is something you really got to take the time to absorb and meditate on and reflect on. And then you got to practice some of the solutions. I mean, this book is just like sitting on the couch in a therapist's office, I feel. So, if you were to buy this book, I'm like, you would get a therapy session at a lower cost because you're buying the book and you're not actually in the therapist's chair. But law number 2 has to do with dealing with fear, y'all. And fear is not what you think it is. So can we talk about that? Law number 2, dealing with fear.
I mean, I think how that came to me is, like I said, working with so many clients, and the situation would present itself and that they needed to deal with. That's why they came in. Maybe it's a relationship issue, maybe it's the job, maybe it's something with a friend or family. But here they are with this problem, and they know what they need to do, but they are afraid. And so the fear stops them from making the best choice for themselves. Now, most people would not equate fear and self-care, but I did. I was like, oh, sometimes when a person gets to a point where they are faced with moving forward and against what I feel, like the anxiety and the fear of people not responding in the best way, or my fear of stepping out, and trusting myself, a person might say, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to shrink back. And so that chapter was written with the intention of really challenging the reader to really deal with fear, to not let fear be the reason that they don't move forward in taking care of themselves. And I think I express a story in there about a person that they were struggling, empty nester, I think, and then what really the real issue was, as they thought they were depressed, and they were, but that's why they specifically came to meet with me. And then when they realized, oh no, the better I get, the more I'm going to have to face my marriage, then they backed away, and they weren't willing to go forward with that. And I found that really profoundly interesting.
That was fear of change.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you say in your book, that particular, and the clients are anonymous, she does not, she's a professional, but you've learned from your work, and your work has contributed to this amazing book. So fear of change. I can see that fear of change because you don't think you're going to be happier on the other side of change, right?
Absolutely. But fear is just, I think I look at it now as just your mind's way. It wants you to stay in the status quo, wants you to stay where it's comfortable. Every major and important decision in life involves fear. I can't think of any major important thing that I've ever done that didn't involve fear. But it's not a reason to shirk back or to, let go of a decision or a plan. To me, it's the reason to move forward. Oh, if I'm afraid of doing this thing, then that means I probably really need to do it.
And we're talking about change that that needs to happen for us, right?
Absolutely.
This is change that needs to happen in order for us to be healthier mentally, physically, emotionally. Okay.
It could be like someone is in their job, the job is really depleting them, but because they can't imagine their life like any other way, then this is more comfortable, and because they're afraid of what it could be like. Well, what if I make a mistake? What if it really could have turned around if I just waited a little bit longer, right? Or what if I, take that leap and then the next job is terrible? Yeah, and I would say, what if you stay there and get completely burnt out, and right, and become, physically so unwell that your life is really shrinking because you weren't willing to take a leap for yourself.
Wow. And one thing too, you talked about fear of backlash.
Yeah.
Backlash. So that's deep too. Like, you went into how boundaries that has to do with setting our boundaries because they're necessary for life, is what you said, and we can't be afraid to take that step out of fear that others may not approve of our newfound change.
Yeah, I mean, we're here to live our life, and that's the primary thing. And along that journey, we are, of course, we have family, friends. I'm not, minimizing their importance, but you are actually the only person that can live your life, and so I think that has to be your primary focus, is how the things I'm doing are impacting me in order to achieve well-being. Not like, is everyone okay with the choices that I'm going to make? I'm going to say, especially when setting boundaries, don't expect people to be okay with that.
No one's okay when you put a boundary up, right? Yeah.
They liked it when they were getting their way, or you were allowing whatever to happen, or doing whatever for them. So when you say, no, I'm going to stop that, I have to set a limit. Yeah, of course, they're not going to be pleased with that.
So that brings me to this other question then, like, what is the difference between self-care and selfishness? Because I think some people feel like, and that's probably part of the backlash, that they may be deemed selfish if they say, no, I'm setting this boundary. So for someone struggling with that, like, what will you say?
Yeah, I would say, number one, what someone feels about your choices to support and care for yourself is their business. That's not your business.
I love Debra. I love the way she says that. This is why she's part of my friend group.
Yeah, like they need to stay in their lane. So assume that they're not. Assume that they're not going to like what you're doing. But is self-care selfish? Like, the other thing I would say to clients is, do you have people? Are you like Rihanna or Jennifer Lopez or something? Like, do you have people that can do all the different things for you? Most of us will say no. But even to them, even if I was sitting across from Rihanna, she probably didn't need any tips. But even that, no, who's going to manage your mind? Who can you pay to manage your emotions? Even your body, right? Like, you can hire a chef to make your food, and you can hire a personal trainer, but you actually have to. They don't do the workout for you, right?
No, you have to do it.
So you have to prioritize yourself. You have to make yourself. It's not that you're saying me to the exclusion of others, like, completely. It's not me first and me to the exclusion of everyone else. It's that you're saying, I have to be a priority. I have to take care of myself first, and then I will have the space and the bandwidth to support other people, right? But the other thing I want to add is that it's my experience that often these people that want you, that kind of poo-poo you taking care of yourself, are the ones that would not support the individual if you asked, right? Like, they want you to do whatever, but then if you said, hey, can you help me with, then they vanish. They've got some
They're like,
reason.
oh, that's not my ministry.
Yeah.
Like, they want to back away.
Yeah,
It's true. I never thought about it.
So it's okay. And usually, again, and I've met with thousands of clients, and whenever they bring this up, it's a one-way street, right? It's like, support that person, support other people, but those same people are not trying to support you. So you have to prioritize your own self. I can't say that enough.
Yeah, and I can see, like, for women, sometimes it's difficult.
Yeah.
Like, especially you have small kids,
Yeah.
everyone's pulling on you. But to your point, I can't be there for my kids or my spouse if I'm not there for myself.
Yeah.
Can't be there for my clients. You
Yeah.
can't be there for your clients,
Yeah.
right? Unless you're taking care of yourself.
Absolutely.
Wow, so see. So I guess I don't want to give the entire book away because I want people to buy it, actually, because I think it's really good. Tell us, like, what's your favorite law? Because there's 6 laws in here. Is there a favorite law that you like?
I'd say number one. Number 1 or number 3.
And number 3 is honor your intuition. Let's talk about honor your intuition.
Yeah, I think this kind of just, I stumbled across this whole idea of intuition a few years ago. I think I referenced this in the book, that there were like multiple times where I would be just driving or just like sitting somewhere and there's nothing going on, right? My mind is free. And all of a sudden I get this thought, oh, you need to check blah, 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 or call your mom or check your schedule. And I wouldn't know why I was thinking about that. It was like, this is very random. Where's this coming from? So I would ignore it. Every single time I would ignore it. And every single time I would get myself into trouble because I didn't do the thing that little message was telling me to do. And so it made me like, oh, I don't know where these messages are coming from. I don't really know what this is, but I think I need to pay attention to it. So I decided, after I'd had enough mistakes, I decided anytime I get some message, this quick sort of idea, flash of, you need information that I needed to attend to something, I was going to do it. Right. And I really believe that was my intuition rising up and like directing me. And I will say intuition is always there. It's not like it's non-existent until something happens. It's part of us. But the problem that we have is that we're not really tuned into it. Like me, we may not even know that it's a thing. So we're not really sure what that is. Yes. And so we ignore it. Yes. And if we do know about it, we may feel like, I'm not sure how valid that is or how necessary. And I've just come to believe that it's the thing that people should listen to above any other thing.
Yes, your intuition, y'all. Some of y'all will say it's the voice of God. Some will say
whatever you want to call it.
Whatever you want to call it. Intuition. Because you say honoring your intuition may be difficult to practice if you've struggle with trusting yourself, struggle with compulsive behaviors, been overwhelmed with life, or have not been curious about your inner self. You said that these aren't criticisms, though, right?
No, because there are things that happen to us in this life that make, listening to that inner voice more difficult, right? We've had some severe trauma, right? Yes. That might make it more difficult, or we've had struggle with addiction. Then listening to that inner voice, like you might confuse the two and say, well, that feels like my inner voice when I'm, kind of pointing me to getting another drink or whatever. Yes. But the intuitive part of us is the purest form. That's how I think of it. It's the purest part of us. It's never directing us toward anything that would harm us. I also see it as a very detached thing. Right? Like when I was getting those little messages, they were just flashes and then they were gone. It was like, girl, pay attention if you want to, right? Yeah. And so I think that's how it's not this sort of nagging voice or critical voice or this tense kind of feeling. It's this information that we get. It's this feeling, this sense, and it's very quick and pure and detached. And then the choice is ours.
Yeah,
what
like
we're
you
gonna
say,
do next.
pure meaning like it's good. It's not telling you like go harm somebody. It was just basically like check your mom, call your mom. Those things. And even when you're in a dating relationship, and I think that chapter was about a guy that was really bad in relationships, and he will meet someone after talking to them for a few minutes, he will like jump into a relationship with them. And I mean, I know we all have seen. I mean, some people call it red flags too. Like, have you seen red flags or your intuition telling you no about a certain person, but because you want it so bad, you just want to ignore it, right?
Yes.
I mean, I recall there was a guy that I was engaged to once. We were in premarital counseling. I just wanted it so bad, but my pastor was like, his intuition, there's no way I will stand up here and marry you to that man. And I'm so glad, at least God gave him intuition. I was not listening to mine.
Listened to it, and you listened to
him.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he said he wasn't going to marry us. I had no choice. But I remember wanting it so bad, but he turned out right, and I think I saw it too.
Yeah.
I mean, when you reflect back sometimes,
you see it.
You see it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I talk about that in the beginning of that chapter, that if we were paying attention to that little voice, so many choices would be averted, right? Like so many fails, as they say, would be crises would be averted if we were paying attention to that.
And sometimes, and your book says, part of that is we don't have patience.
Yeah. Yeah, we can be really impatient. Yeah, because we, like you were saying, you want a thing, and so there's, I'm going to move quick. I think we intuitively know when we're doing that. Like if we really were to, stand back and look at that later, we'd probably say, yeah, I knew I was moving quick, so I wouldn't have to really process and deal with whatever. I just wanted to get to where I wanted to be,
Yes,
right? I
yes.
wanted to get that thing, and so I just moved quickly. Yeah. So
And that could
impatience is absolutely part of it.
That could be making a huge financial
Yeah.
decision,
Yes.
buying a house.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
this is just so good because all this leads back to self care,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and I think, like with it being impatient, again, just another little nugget, I think we have to wait for our intuition to rise up. We don't command it like you don't order up like Uber Eats. That's not how it works. Like we have to wait for it to come. We have to be in that space where it can come up. And I think I talk about that silence is necessary. Yeah, listening for that, being silent, having intentional moments of that in your life where you are just like tuning inward, just being silent, meditating, all of that, to connect with it. And then you'll get the answers, but not when you're like struggling or demanding. Like it doesn't work like that.
And I like journaling because I think when I journal, I'm actually, it takes time to write these days and age. Most people don't write anymore; they type or text. But like when I'm actually like a pen in my hand or a pencil in my hand, I'm actually writing words like in my journal, like or I'm meditating on scripture or whatever. I feel like you said, I then have time for myself. Now there was a time, Deborah, and I don't know if other people or listeners can relate to this, where I just didn't want to be alone. With myself because I was going through a period of grief.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? Grief and self-care. Yeah, I didn't want, like you said, I didn't want it to swell up. I was trying to be a workaholic. Everything but taking that time and that space, right?
Yeah, I mean, grief and self-care. I mean, it's just, we are going to, I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to say it, grief is a part of this life experience, right? Because we will lose people and things that are important to us. And so we have to become okay with that process. And I talk about that in the book too. I have a chapter on, grief and the things that I would typically say to clients. And one of them is just like number one, making yourself comfortable with death, right? Like accepting that death is part of it, because we always act surprised when someone dies, right? The truth is we've known this is coming for all of us, right? Since we were, somewhere between the age of 6 and 9, we understand that sort of principle of life. So we have to make ourselves okay with our own loss, our own eventual, end, and that will help us to be more accepting of other losses and be more like also not treating grief, like not putting it on the shelf, because I think people do that. That's not a way of taking care of yourself. Taking care of yourself with grief means you're attentive to yourself, means that you're expressing what you need during that time, means that you are not trying to be strong for other people, because people do that a lot. And
can we talk about the myth of the strong Black woman?
I mean,
or Black girl magic?
Do we have?
How do you feel about that? Black girl magic and the strong Black woman, or the strong Black man? We don't have enough time.
We don't have enough time for that. Do I think that's a real thing? Absolutely, absolutely. But I think, in terms of the book, I'm saying that this being strong is a thing that most people across cultures will think they'll have to do to support other people. Grief is part of grief is you feeling every emotion that was connected to your relationship with this individual, and you need to feel those things. Emotions need to pass through us, not get stuck and trapped within us. And when they do get trapped within our body, then they create disease, right? And disorder.
That's deep, y'all.
Yeah. So it's part of, self-care as it relates to grief is that you process your grief, you accept it, you process it. You're not trying to be strong for other people. You're allowing them to see you grieve. It's okay that I'm sad and I'm crying. Why would I not be? And that you don't have to hold space for other people while you're doing that necessarily, especially if it's a loss that's directly connected to you, that you're like, it's okay for me to have moments where I'm just sad myself, and if people are around, they see it, and that's okay. And then there are other moments where I'm supporting them, and that is okay too. But the idea of I have to be strong for everyone, I nix on that idea.
Or that there's like a 1 through 10 step, like the 10 steps of grief. I think that's a myth, because you can be at step 10 one day and back at 1 the next day. So
it's very fluid, and they've come to realize that it's not this sort of sequential kind of process that it was described as years ago.
Now, what I like is in her book, and this is under Law 4, setting boundaries. Law 4 says we have to set boundaries. She has a term I like, which is fight the power. She talks about, let's talk about personal rights. So on All Rights Reserved, y'all, under the topic of self-care, we're about to talk about personal rights as it relates to self-care.
I should be asking you.
Well, I'm always talking about everybody else's rights other than my own personal rights, right?
Yes, you are. This is true. This is true.
But personal rights, wow. You say in your book, you don't know what you're missing if you've never examined a personal rights list, literally, right? And she has something attached to her appendix, right? She said, before you can set boundaries, you need to understand your rights. Knowing where to draw the line is easier when you have a clear idea of what's permissible.
Yeah. Years and years ago, when I was working in my private practice, I remember talking with clients about this, and it was when I first started using the personal rights list. And I would ask clients if they knew, like, do you know what your personal rights are? And they'd be like, no, what is that? And so I had all these sheets ready, and I would hand them one, and, the look on people's faces, like, oh my God, where was this? When did I miss this in class, And it's just really a set of things that every human should feel that they are able to express, right? It's like the right to say no, the right to change your mind, the right to not know, the right to not give an answer. It's like they're simple, basic things, but they're also things that if we're not familiar with them, we might not practice them, right? And so then that gets in the way of setting boundaries, because we may feel like, if someone asks me something, I have to tell them. And no, you don't.
No, you don't.
Right? Or I have to give an answer to someone right now. No, you can delay that and give the answer when you're best prepared and ready to give it.
So it makes me wonder then, why do we project this person? Because my husband's always getting on me, Debra, about, Yolanda, you can say no sometimes. You never can say no. And I've tried to do that now. To me, a shocker for me was I had RSVP to be somewhere. And then the day I woke up, it's not like I was sick. I was just tired. I just didn't want to go. So I could have gone, so I could be this person. Yolanda always shows up. She's always there. But I was like, I'm tired. So, to me, I felt like I need to celebrate that. We should have celebrated that together somewhere, Debra, because I actually had RSVP. I was like, let me just cash out your money, because I'm just so exhausted.
Yeah.
And a lot of other things too, but so that was setting a boundary, right? Even though I had RSVP, because I'm thinking about the social optics of when you RSVP, someone has planned for you, someone may have cooked for you, so I'm just thinking about the inconvenience to the other person more than me.
Yeah, okay, and I get that. I think you still made a vote for yourself, and that's admirable. I think the thing I would probably say in terms of setting boundaries earlier is looking at your schedule, really making that informed decision that you're not going to overschedule yourself, because that's probably what happened. You know, I don't know, but what happens more commonly with people is that they're overscheduled, and so they say yes to that one thing during a time where it felt like it was okay to do, but then they're overscheduled, and now that thing is coming up, and they're like, I don't want to do that, right? So I think just really managing time better, but also your energy. I would just say that too. Energy is important. I'm really focused on energy now. Paying attention to how you feel. When and the boundary comes in, if I'm paying attention to how I feel on the regular, right? Then when someone comes to ask me something, I have to let that, sink in, right? Let that settle with me. Does that feel like a thing I would want to do? Does it line up with who I am? Am I just saying, that I want to do this just to please that person? All of those kind of questions help you to make the better choice for yourself. And it's okay. I think not saying no really is related to, I don't want to hurt people's feelings. I don't want to disappoint others. I want to be seen to be helpful and supportive and all of that. It's nice to, want to help other people and be supportive. But I think the real issue is if you're seeking approval, it's that seeking approval that really drives that and makes boundaries difficult.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, all of that's good. The time management part. Because, normally when you get RSVP, it could be like a couple months before the actual date. So 2 months ago, I was like, today. Yeah, so, that is awesome. And look at me, y'all, trying to get some free therapy here in the video section. But this is not about me. But I know we talked about, and what you're talking about now seems to be over-serving others. So, so there's a point where I suppose over-serving others can become unhealthy, right? Absolutely.
At the point where you are risking yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, that's where I say, that's detrimental. But again, I think if people are paying attention to their own energy, their own emotions around things. I was speaking with a client the other day, and he said that he always says yes, and that he's not really in touch with how he feels in the moment that someone's asking, but then later he's like angry, really mad. And I said, that's why when you're in touch with what you feel regularly and someone asks you for something, and he was talking about work-related things and personal, but mostly work. And I said, when you're in touch with what you feel and someone at work is asking you, you can know right in the moment, like, this isn't a thing that I'm going to want to do, right? And you don't have to tell them that right then. You can say, let me get back to you, because that was another thing he felt. He felt like, I have to let them know right now. And so we were talking about that, like if someone pressures you to give an answer right now for their thing, then they need to seek out, support elsewhere, right? Exactly. That's where you say, okay, well, then the answer is going to have to be no, because I really do need to think about how this will impact, everything that I have going on already.
So it's people pleasing, right?
Yeah.
And, I thought
seeking approval.
Seeking approval. And some people call it people pleasing. Yeah. I thought like, oh, wow, I'm 50 now. I can say no. Actually, I could say hell no. Now because I'm in my 50s, But again, we're human beings. We want to, like I say, that instinct to want to be liked, accepted, and approved of, but not to the detriment. It sounds like you're saying not to the detriment of
not to the detriment of yourself. But I will say, Yolanda, what I've uncovered or discovered about that, that the folks that are the do-gooders, the people that are the helpful people, and they want to save the world, and all that's beautiful.
That's me.
Yeah. No, and I love that. Like the world needs people like that. So I'm being silly, but I am one of those people myself, to be honest. And I think that's beautiful, and you don't want to lose that. The other part of that is to understand that this sort of encoding, if you will, happened long time ago. During your childhood, you may have been identified as the helpful one or the really smart one or, the one that gets things done. And, parents know who their kids are, right? And so they identify early on which ones need help, which ones got it and can do whatever, and the ones that got it and can make things happen and get things done sometimes get marked to do more.
Ooh, I think I've marked one. Yes.
Right?
I'm going to unmark her.
And so you mark your kid out, and then let me be clear, I'm not trying to say parents are evil, they're trying to, make it through life too. But that's a thing that can happen. And so then that child identifies themselves as that helpful person, right? And again, nothing wrong with being helpful, but they've been helpful to a degree that is unbalanced.
Yes.
So they become used to this imbalance, and they carry it through adulthood and lessen or until they have some, rebalancing situation or factor, like going to therapy, or some situation that just makes them say, I've got to really stop this. I'm doing too much. That makes sense.
I know I was talking to someone I love about a relationship that, is pretty much over, and like I'm trying to give someone therapy, but, she called me, so I was all she had. So, just about enablers. How sometimes we can enable the way someone treats us as well, right? So I think that was kind of like what I was trying to tell her. And that was just leaning on my lawyer brain, not my therapist brain, because I'm not licensed. I'm not one of those people going to sit up here and say I have a degree and I don't have that degree, because I don't. But so when we talk about all these things, it's just so amazing, and listening to your intuition, that's definitely deep. And I think this other question I was going to ask you, I think you've already answered it, but if you feel like you have more to add, please do. And that question is, how do we recognize when we are running on empty? Some people recognize it when they get sick. But before we get sick, how do we recognize we're running on empty?
Yeah, I would say that's where I think thinking of paying attention to your emotions and your energy is important. And I would like for people to think of as emotions and energy as the same, because we know how we feel, we know we're energy because of how we feel. These things are playing on each other, if that makes any sense, right? Like when you meet someone for the first time, and let's just say you like them or you don't, what is that? You don't have data. You just met them. You don't really have enough data. But what you'll say is, oh, I just you'll describe how they made you feel, right? So yeah, I think paying attention to how you're feeling every day, checking in with yourself every day. And then the things that drain you, I did this for a client recently. She's a really intense schedule, a lot of responsibility. And I said, I want you to write out every single thing you do from the time you get up to the time you go to bed. It's a lot of things. And then I want you to write next to it on a scale of a 5-point scale, what things bring energy, what things deplete you of energy, and how much, right? On a scale of 5. And so she did that, and it was remarkable for her to see oh my goodness, some of these things that I don't think of as really impacting me are really impacting me. And then we talked about how she could, reframe these things, how she could manage these things differently. So if you don't want to deplete yourself, you have to think about what is going on with you. How am I feeling? Emotions are telling you not just am I happy or sad? They're telling me important information about things that I'm encountering through my day, right? So when you drive to your job, if every day you're like, oh my God, I hate this job, right? That is telling you some important information, right? Or if you get to your house, you're like, I don't want to go in. I'm going to sit outside for 30 minutes. Well, okay, what is that about, right?
What is that about?
There's something inside.
Kids.
Okay, that you don't want to deal with, right? So you have to, right? That is an energetic drain. It's an emotional drain, right? And it's overwhelming. And it's going to deplete you, right? Unless you attend to it. So again, paying attention to how the things in your life are making you feel, and then deciding what do I need to do to, deal with that.
And sometimes I wonder, like if you're a person, and I mean, Deborah, she's an amazing woman, and I don't know all the things about her personal life, but I know that, you have, I feel, you don't have small kids, you don't, have things that may be as much distractions as I have, like, because I'm sorry, I'm one of those people that sit in the car a little bit before I go in the house, and that's just because I have kids, they're going to be asking me 50 million questions. I just need to unwind because I just came from work, right? So I'm unwinding in my car or truck before I walk in because I have an opportunity to. So how can someone that has all these things going on in their lives, multiple things on their plate, like how can they make self-care like a daily task? Because you say it has to be, it's a mindset. That mindset has to be built over time, right? Through practice.
Yes.
So what's the one thing you think someone can do?
Well, first, let me just say to the sitting in your car, if you're sitting in your car to unwind, I think that's actually good. I might not sit in my driveway, though.
I am in my driveway.
Right, because, anyway. But what can you do to, like, if you have a bunch of things? I do think an energy, like, just checking your energy, I think that is really important to do, checking how you feel emotionally. I wouldn't say there's one thing to do. I would say, but if I could only say one thing, I would say sit in silence every single day for 10 minutes. And throw out this question to God, universe, whatever. What should I do about my life? Or what should I do about this problem? Or how can I feel better? Like just throwing out this question and then just sitting. Usually when I'm telling a client to do this, when I'm recommending this, I will say, sit in a beautiful room in your house where you'll be uninterrupted for 10 minutes. And because when you're doing this, you don't want your mind sort of going through the list of all the 50,000 different things you have to get done. So you just want to sit in a beautiful space, or you want to sit outside in your deck. And you're just going to sit. You're not processing. You're not trying to think about every single thing. You're not trying to solve the problem for the question that you've answered. You're just simply being. I've thrown this out there, and now I'm just going to wait. Be patient. I'm just going to wait, and I'm just going to observe this room and its beauty, or the world. I'm looking outside, right? And I'm going to do this every day. And I believe that the questions will be answered, especially if you're feeling like my life is unbalanced. So I've thrown that question out there. The things that need to shift will come to you, right? And then you'll recognize, oh, okay, here's some things that need to be dealt with. And then that will answer your question, because self-care, as we've been talking about it, it's not a bunch of activities. It is a mindset. It is like, you look at it like, I'm trying to create balance. So what are all the things that create balance, and what are the things that take away from it? And I've got to manage this list of things that take away from balance in my life.
That's good, y'all. Y'all hear that? That's really good. So just sit in silence for 10 minutes. And like you're saying, put the question out there.
Yeah. And I didn't add
to you. Yeah.
I didn't add that this has been researched by scientists at Harvard. They found that sitting in silence for 10 minutes a day will regenerate brain cells.
Ooh. The benefits.
Yes.
So multiple benefits.
Yes, multiple.
Wow, that is good, y'all. I really love that. And so that's one of I was going to ask you, what's a practical thing that listeners can do this week? So listeners, find 10 minutes, right, to sit in silence. And then when you're out of silence, go on Amazon and buy the 6 laws of self-care, because it goes, it really gets deep. It goes into friendships, She has a friendship circle in here, how to manage and categorize friendships. And I think women, I don't know how much men, deal with this issue, but women, I think we think a lot about friendships and who belongs where, who doesn't belong where, or where do we belong. So I think that's really good. And she also talks about sexual health. So that is amazing as well. All this stuff, and like I said, there's 6 laws. I'm not going to do all of them. And then just the last law, it says to apply everything you've learned in this book to all areas of your life.
Yeah.
So that's good. That is so good. So, Deborah, one thing that I'm hearing is that self-care is really about protecting what matters most, and that's ourselves. And that makes me think about something bigger. Not only do we have to protect our minds and bodies, like you said, some of us are out here today, and this is the Juneteenth. Today's Juneteenth weekend. Friday was Juneteenth, but a lot of us are thinking about our communities, our democracy. Because sometimes we feel like we're being rage baited every time we open social media. I'm one of those folks. I feel like, I'm always trying to save something. I need to focus more on myself. But it brings me to this issue here. And this is what I want to tell you listeners. And this is the thing I tell you that you will least expect for self-care to be connected to. But like, for example, there's this bill, Deborah, House Bill 958. It's a sweeping election law proposal that's moving through the North Carolina General Assembly, right? And we already are seeing on the news of how all this redistricting is like diluting the voting power of historically marginalized communities and groups. But this particular bill, among other things, will give our state auditor the authority to investigate election conduct and will make several changes to election administration and auditing processes. Why this matters is because we think it's going to be very partisan and political, like everything else in this world is. So when we, those of us who, some people have the luxury of saying, I'm not even going to look at the news anymore. But some of us, because of our work, have no choice but to look at the news. Some of us are people who are impacted by these issues, right? Who are homeless, if that's an issue that they're impacted by, who can't afford to buy a house now because they don't have the income. As a new home buyer, a new home buyer, that's one thing, but to have a house that you could then sell, that's another level of wealth, right? Because you already own a home and you're selling it. So there are people that are impacted by so many things. So I don't know, is paying attention to our communities, is that a form of self-care?
I think certainly, we live in community, so we have to pay attention to our community because we're not, we can't live in isolation. We're not hermits. I guess you could be a hermit, but I don't think that's great self-care because I've talked about all the dimensions of the self, and we are social beings. Yes. We need each other. So certainly self-care is connected to that. I think when it comes to these global issues or local issues outside of ourselves, we can get really distracted. So I'm going to talk about it from a different perspective. Yes. What I have seen is people getting so anxious and so frustrated and so just doom scrolling and so emotionally involved in whatever is happening that they can't find balance internally. And that's not self-care. That's not helpful. It's not helping you. It's not going to help your community. I think the best things that we can do is where we can act, we should act. And then we have to take our hands off, right? Because unless you're the person that pushes the button or signs the document or what, you've done your piece and you can't do any more, you've got to let go. You've got to detach. It doesn't mean you have to like the decisions. It doesn't mean there won't be another decision to be made later. It just means that you're not letting yourself be whipped about by what happens outside of you. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that I heard this spiritual guru person say that if the world does, devolve and turn into whatever, crazy thing that we're all fearing it could become, you'll be in the best position to manage that when you've managed yourself well.
Wow.
Right. And it made me think about on all these like, horror shows or like doom shows, Walking Dead, apocalyptic shows. Like who dies? Who dies first? It's the people that are like freaked out, terrified, right?
They're screaming and let the killer know where you are, right?
Yes, the people that are able to come to balance and come to calm are the ones that survive, and so that's what I want to say.
And the skinny one survives too, because they can crawl into little holes.
I don't know about that. All I'm saying is emotionally managing yourself, taking care of yourself, being in your best mental, emotional, physical health is the space you want to be in for anything that could happen, especially if it's catastrophic or intense.
Yeah. Well, that is so good, because a lot of us doom scroll. We need to stop doing it.
And I've done it too, and I've set limits on myself. Yeah, because it's not, I get how you get sucked in, but then it's like that's all you're thinking about.
That's all you're thinking about, and then, but I will say that we do a lot of line dancing too.
Okay.
So
there's balance.
There's balance. While all this is going on, the whole theme, while the world's burning down, the theme was Black folks be line dancing.
Yes, and I love that. No, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Like everything's crashing, and Black people are enjoying themselves and creating new dances.
We're sipping our tea, watching it burn. I
love it. I love it.
She loves that, yeah. So she has approved, because you know what? I've said this too, that rest is a form of resistance.
Rest is absolutely, and rest is a form of sovereignty.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
Sovereignty, y'all.
Sovereignty.
Y'all heard that?
Yes.
Rest is a form of sovereignty.
I'm big on that word now, sovereignty.
Ooh,
that we're all sovereign. And so, we manage ourselves. We're the ones that make change in our life. And
all rights reserved with Yolanda Taylor on Choice.
Those of us who are spiritual, but those of us who are very, very religious sometimes, because I saw this, and this is a trending TikTok. Meaning that someone can take it and make it a voice in their TikTok video. I know I've been really involved in TikTok lately and how to use it. So, but this woman, she was like, I always wonder when is it going to be my turn? When am I going to be happy? When am I going to be this? And then I just really feel like, well, what if I'm somebody else's blessing? Maybe that's my purpose, is to be someone's blessing. And I was thinking to myself, that is so one-sided. Because I immediately, in the voice, the intuition said, I deserve blessings too. That voice rose up when I heard her say that, but someone's copying her voiceover and her message because it sounds profound. She has this motivational music behind it. So someone might be like, oh, wow, that's deep. And, finger snap to it. But it was just so one-sided.
Yeah. So, I can't say I'm a
God
fan.
God wants us all to be blessed.
Exactly.
He wants us to live an abundant life. His word says that.
I can't say that I'm a fan of that idea. I would say, sure, you are someone's blessing. You could be. But why can't you be your own blessing?
Yes.
Right? Why aren't you a blessing to yourself?
Yeah. That's deep. That's good. Because we are our biggest blessings. So we're about to land this plane, as I love to say, when we're about to end our show. And as always, I hate to end our show, especially with you, Debra. You're such a wonderful guest. Say something about your book. What do you want to tell the listeners? Where can we find it? Amazon? You
can find it on Amazon. And I think, or Ingram Sparks, too. I think the only thing I would say, what I would want to leave with folks is that self-care is not obsolete, even though it's not being talked about like it was a few years ago. As long as there's a self-care is important. And especially now with all this going on, it is super important to manage your well-being. In fact, to me, there's nothing more important than that. And as I've said in the book, those 6 laws, value yourself, deal with fear, honor your intuition, apply this to all of your the dimensions of yourself and every aspect of your life. All of those things are paramount, right? And so I just want to leave people with, you are worthy, you're valuable. It's important that you take care of yourself. There's nothing more important than that. There can't be, right? Because you can't be supportive and helpful to other people if you're feeling raggedy, right? And so prioritize yourself, make yourself a priority, and you're going to feel better. You'll make better decisions, and life will become clearer about what things need to change and what things should remain.
Yes, thank you. And listeners, if you're really looking for a way again to really understand self-care and some of the laws that we discussed, I mean, you should get the book. And I'm going to end with one question about you, Deborah. What brings you peace?
Standing outside in the sun.
Ooh, vitamin D.
Yeah. Or sitting inside with a cup of tea and just sitting and looking out my window at beautiful birds. Yeah.
I love that. See, this is a person that has actually sat down with themselves in silence for 10 minutes, right? Because there are some people that probably can't even think about what brings them peace, right? So maybe that's something that we should think about too, right?
Yeah.
This week, like, what brings us peace?
Yeah, that's a great one.
That's awesome. Deborah, thank you for joining us today. Folks, if there's one thing I hope you take away from today's show is this. Self-care isn't being selfish. It's stewardship over our bodies. We're sovereign, like Deborah said that. It's taking responsibility for the life you've been given. It's setting boundaries. It's protecting your peace. Understanding what brings you peace. It's protecting your purpose. And just like we take care of ourselves, you know, we should also take care of our communities. Our built environments do impact our health and our well-being, but we also need to know to do our part and when to let it go. You know, we can stay informed without making ourselves overwhelmed or anxious. But we must remember that just like democracy, like wellness, it all requires our participation. Like democracy requires our participation, self-care requires our participation. You can't outsource either one. I'm Yolanda Taylor, the community lawyer and host of All Rights Reserved. Have an amazing Saturday, right? Take care of yourself. I mean it. Take care of yourself. And I'll see you next week. Don't go anywhere. Stay plugged right here to 92.1 FM, Choice